So you want to leave your 9 to 5 and you may have big dreams and big plans, but then reality hits. How is it going to work? Who's going to do the work? How do you get it all done? How are you going to feed yourself? Is it going to be a success? Today I'm going to be talking about the parts of running your own business that a lot of people don't talk about. If you are seeing me for the first time, welcome. I'm Rachel Charles and I'm a corporate career coach, speaker and consultant, and I help overwhelmed professionals to transition from their 9 to 5 into successful businesses of their dreams. I help them to put the plans and strategies in place so that they can start living a life that they design rather than one prescribed. So I'm sitting out here in nature, and it's because I was able to do the transition myself from my 9 to 5, from corporate UK into my own business full time. I'm even sitting out here on my chair today. Usually I sit on one of the rocks down there, but I needed to get comfortable because we're going to get a bit real today. Because as you can imagine, working for yourself is amazing. I get up when I want to get up. I go to sleep when I want to go to sleep. I don't have any demands placed in my diaries or meetings that I weren't aware of. Everything comes through me. I am orchestrating everything that I want, and it's my dream, my idea, my goal, my plan. Going into companies, there are parts about running a business and being the only person in that business that you don't always hear about, because when you're in the trenches, you're just getting on with it. But today, let's talk about it. So when I left my job, I had these visions of how I was going to work on a daily basis. I was going to work a few days in a cafe. I was going to be able to have time to work out. I was going to be able to go to the gym. I would be working with so much ease. And don't get me wrong, there are some days when I do work from a cafe. There are some days when I do get my walk and my workout in. And there are many days where I am working with ease. However, there are also many days where it feels that I'm spending more time talking to Canva than I am speaking to other people. Or I'm creating content rather than the time that I need to be putting into writing my book. And the reason for that as well is, aside from being a coach and working with people on a one-to-one business, I'm also going into companies and doing consulting work, but I'm also helping people with their social media strategy, content and planning. So you can imagine how I'm spending a lot of time creating content as well, not just for myself, but also for other people. And if you think back, or if you're in corporate right now and think of how your corporate industry is constructed, you will have HR, you'll have the CEO, you'll have the directors, you'll have the receptionist, you'll have secretary, you'll have admin officers. In the initial stages of setting up your business and running your business, you are every single one of those people that I've just listed. And so it can be an emotional roller coaster of, it's so inspiring and it's so freeing, to, oh my goodness, what have I done? And this is the point sometimes where many people will start thinking, is it worth it? Should I keep going, or should I go back to work? But I worked my business for a long time alongside my 9 to 5, and there were a lot of things that I learned during that period that really set me up for when I was ready to leave. So what I'll share with you today is a couple of things that really kept me grounded, and what I'm really happy that I got to know before I was able to make that leap. So number one, structure equals freedom. If you know anything about me, you know I love a plan. You know I love a routine. You know I love a to-do list. But you don't really need a tight schedule, but you do need a rhythm of how you work. Because as I said earlier, I can wake up at 11 o'clock if I want to. I can go to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning if I wanted to. I can sit down and not do anything the entire day, because there is no one telling me you have to do this and when is this report due or what. I don't have that anymore. However, you need to find a balance, and you need to find a rhythm of how you work. A daily rhythm, a weekly rhythm, and even a monthly rhythm, because there are some things that you need to do daily, there are some things you need to do weekly, and some things that you're going to need to do monthly. Because if you don't have a plan and you start your day without intention, your entire day is going to be gone. And it might be difficult to pull it back if you don't have a plan for what you're meant to be doing that day. So have a plan, find balance, and it gives you that flexibility of working that you've been dreaming of. So as much as we might think that the structure of the corporate sector is something that we wanted to get away from, structure is going to help you going forward in your business. The only difference is you are creating the structure you need, and it isn't imposed upon you. The second thing I'm glad I discovered is that even though confidence is great, courage comes first. If you wait until you are confident to do things, you may never take the steps you need to take. But if you take the courage to take the leap, then you will build your confidence as you grow. So don't wait to feel confident before you act. You need to feel scared and show up. So for example, even though I was running my business for some time before I actually jumped out, there was no way that I would know whether or not I had the confidence to do it outside of my 9 to 5. I had to find the courage to jump and then the confidence to go forward on a daily basis. So courage trumps confidence any day. And this is where many people who may be really skilled at doing something fall flat, because a lot of the times they're waiting until they have the confidence to do it properly, but somebody else who has the courage and sometimes maybe not as much skill is going to jump out there and do it first. So courage trumps confidence every day. The third thing that I'm really glad I realized before I left, and I'm not quite sure how it even came to me, was that you're going to grieve your own identity. And it's not about the job that you had, but it's about who you were, with the title, the structure, the validation, the role, the respect. You're going to grieve it. And like I said, I don't know how it came to me, but there was one day I sat down and I made a Facebook post just asking, who are you if you didn't have your title? Because many of our identities are wrapped up in the titles we had. I remember the last title that I had for my job sounded really good, and I remember being told that the position that I'm in now, the title sounded a lot better than the position that I was going for. So did I really want to go for it? And I was pondering, like, yeah, the position I had regional in it, so it was across London, and the position that I was thinking about going for was just head of department, didn't have the same ring to it. So there is a lot that goes into our identity when it comes to our roles and our jobs, and to think that you're going to be walking away from that is a huge part of your identity. And so I put that post out there asking, who are you, without saying what you do as a job, what your role is, because many of us are so tied up in our role and it becomes so much as a part of our identity that if we walked away from that, we'd be lost. And it took me a while to start speaking about myself and introducing myself without talking about my previous role, because I'd been there for so long and it was such a part of my identity that I had to go through the process of really growing into and becoming the person that I am now, the role that I'm in now. And that is real, it is normal, and it's part of the process. So regardless of where you are in this process of transitioning, when you put together structure and create your own freedom, when you move forward courageously and not wait for confidence, and when you embrace your new identity and give yourself time to grieve your old identity, it really helps with that transition into who you are and wearing all the different hats that you're going to have. Think about all the things that you want to have, that you're moving forward into. It takes you doing certain things, but more importantly, it takes you being a very different person to what took you this far to get you to do the things you have to do to have the things you want, which is why it's so important to acknowledge who you were in terms of your identity and step into your new one, to move forward in courage and not just wait for confidence, and to build structure and embrace your new freedom. So what do you do now? Maybe you've already leapt, or maybe you're too scared to try. Whatever is happening for you now, remember that it's all part of the process and that you are building. And even if you've tried certain things and it hasn't worked, it's not a failure, it's all part of the process. And this is where you review and reset and look for different ways of moving forward. The other thing is knowing that it does get easier, especially if you don't do it alone. The first thing I did when I made up my mind that I wanted to move forward was to get a coach. You need to look at who is in your accountability circle, who is your close confidant. Build yourself a network, find your tribe, get a coach. So I hope those helped you, and I'd like to find out what was unexpected about being self-employed and what was the biggest fear about you taking the leap. I'd love to hear from you. And until the next video, bye.